Hello, Fellowship of the OpenSpokes. I'd like to thank Kirsten for providing us with this challenge and Karen for her amazing story of failure and yet her resilience, which is what Aaron brought to the table and what I see as something that we must teach in the classroom. So I'd like to review what Kirsten said. The language we use is important. And so I think it is important that we have these discussions to tease out what we mean, as Varena says, create a common glossary. So where do you think failure fits in an educational context? Do you use it with your students? And yes, I do use it with my students. And I refer often to little things that happen in the classroom for myself when I goof, or if the students point something out, I thank them for helping me do better with what I do. You know, I wonder how many of us talk to our students about how when we enter the classroom or when we try something new, the feeling of hesitancy we have before we try something, but we try it anyway, and how open are we with providing that context. And I know for me personally, even I should at my age be able to just jump into things no matter what, but you know, every day it's a feeling of at the end of the day recognizing what I've done well and moving on, and every day knowing that I might fail, but I still have to keep moving on. So how do I use it with my students? Well, I begin the year showing the flag you will see next. From 27 years ago, in my first year of teaching, when a little first grader came to me crying because his flag for Veterans Day was imperfect. He'd made one fat red stripe. And so I picked up a piece of white paper and just waved it in front of him and said, I wonder what we could do. And it took a few minutes for a little first grader, a little 6-year-old, to wipe the tears from his eyes, and then all of a sudden seeing that white paper moving in my hand, explain, I could cut a stripe and tape over the red part. And that's what he did. And so I share that story with my students every year. The fact that there is no problem that we can't solve or find a way to work around it or learn to cope with it. And that is one thing that we work on in my classroom. I need to do more of that. Many of my students have little coping skills, and many days of instruction are lost with tears or fits of anger over just the fact that they have failed. And many of my students won't even try unless they know they can succeed. And so my day, fortunately for me in teaching writing, I can always find a small success in everything that they write. And that is what helps them to blossom as writers, knowing that it might not be what we were working on that day, but I always can find something that they did well in their writing. And so in my writing classes, the students are able to move from failure by knowing that they have something they've done well. Denise Krebs in our OpenSpokes graciously shares her poster for Fail, First Attempt in Learning. And I think that is an excellent way to share about failure with students, and then to help them to be happy and comfortable in who they are. And then from there, build in resiliency, the coping skills necessary to succeed. So what I have done, and which I'm going to use with my students from now on, is a little acronym or poem about failure and what it means, taking off from Denise's poster. First attempt in learning for fail, but then use failure as the whole word. First attempt in learning. Understand what it is that we failed in, what worked, what didn't work, and then review so that we can revise what we've done and make it better, to enlighten us so we can move forward, either able to fix something or to cope with it or to start over, because failure is our first attempt in learning. Thanks, Denise, for that.